Hello everybody, welcome to the Cozy Cardigans podcast. Today is a special little video. Well, I feel like this video is going to be pretty long. It is all about the Day at the Museum collection that I'm going to be having in not a few days, maybe about a week. It'll be on November 3rd at 9 a.m. Japan Standard Time. So I wanted to go ahead and introduce you all the colorways that I'm going to be having for the update. There are going to be 25 variegated colorways and one tonal. And the reason why there's so many variegated colorways is because these were originally part of my countdown calendar for 2023, so last year. And I just wanted to bring them back for full skein sized pre-order. So let me just go through it. I'm going to be looking over here frequently because I have my laptop. There's 25 colorways, so I don't want to get them mixed up. So hopefully I can handle it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you like the trusty sock base. I'm going to show you one of the non-superwash bases just to show how it's gonna look, and then also the Surrey silk lace base. I just feel like since there's so many bases, I do have all of the base, like a list of all the bases on my website, as well as each listing is going to have a little picture of like I want to say like 12 of the different bases, just whatever I thought was going to look the most different and would be the most interesting to show you. Just because a lot of the time some of the bases tend to look quite similar to each other, so I didn't want to double up on that. But anyways, each listing will have a picture of like a comparison of bases. So when you do go shopping and you're kind of wondering what it's going to look like on non-superwash versus superwash, you'll be able to see that while you shop. And also forgot to mention, the pre-order is going to be up for 48 hours. Hello. Okay, so just got back from changing the battery. So I also wanted to preface this by saying that these are all inspired by Japanese or works made by Japanese artists that are up for viewing in the Museum of Modern Museum of Modern Art in Tokyo. So I'll put the inspiration photo up on the screen as well while I talk about these pieces. But the first colorway out of the 25 variegated is Paron Pomegranate. And it is this really lovely kind of very bold, I'd say, striped, not striped, but variegated yarn. And the reason why I say stripe is because when you knit it up, like this type of variegation would knit up with micro stripes if you were to knit it in like a tube sock form. And it's also got some green speckles. And this is on the non-superwash merino worsted base, and it's a lot more muted, a lot more muddled, I'd say. The speckles aren't as prominent. And I really like this on Surrey as well. Sorry for the random barking dog. So that's the first colorway. And the second colorway is called Night Music on a Floating Pavilion by Kazuma Oda. And the color looks like this. It is kind of like the yellow sibling to Pomegranate. Please continue to ignore this really annoying dog. But this is the non-superwash merino worsted. Let's see if it, there it goes. And then here's the Surrey. It's got like little very light touches of red, which I really like. Next up is Pumpkin Patch, which I personally really like. It's like this orangey yellow, and it's got these really cute speckles, and it's got little bits of darker, I'd say darker brown green. Oh my gosh, this dog. And it's got some green as well. And then some more speckles for you. I really like this on non-superwash as well. Again, this is the non-superwash merino worsted. And as you can see, it's a lot more kind of watercolory. And this is the Surrey. The Surrey, I think, will knit up really nicely if you held it together with another warm toned fingering weight skein. But yeah, this is Pumpkin Patch. And next up is my favorite neutral. So for the neutral pals out there, this is Greendale, and it's by Shiden Kosaka is the artist's name, and it is like based off of ink painting. So I wanted to make it, it's like this really warm brown kind of toned painting, so I really wanted to bring that in. So this is really great for neutral lovers out there. Again, here's the non-superwash merino worsted, which is really nice. Again, super watercolory. It really like kind of, here's a comparison, really kind of blends out in the non-superwash form. The Surrey is really lovely as well. It's just a really nice brown. So it'll go with absolutely everything. Next up is Lingering Snow by Kotaru Nakahara. And this one is quite interesting. It's kind of like, the vibe I was going for was, because the painting is like the ground when the snow is melting, but there's little bits of greenery popping up. So there's that green there. So let me show you the trusty sock version. So it's mostly yellow and brown and beige, I'd say, and then there's these really nice bright pops of green showing through the skein, which will be really fun to knit, I think. It would be really fun to stitch the green bits, you know, like when you get to a speckle or get to like a little section in the variegated skein where you really like it, and then when you make the stitch, it's like so satisfying. That is the vibes I get for this colorway. Here is the non-superwash version. Again, very mellowed down. The green speckles are kind of fuzzed out, as you can see. There's some bits of greens out there, but it's not as, you know, apparent as it is on the superwash skein. And then the Surrey is also really fun. Again, you could see the bits of speckles. But yeah, this one's more, though this one and then the next one I'm going to show you is quite similar, but I'd say this is like the more brown toned one, and it definitely has the pops of green, which the other one doesn't have, which I'll just show you right now. This is End of September, and this one has, the painting has lots of yellow in it, so this one is more yellow than the previous one. but it does also have the bits of green as well. But I'd say this is like the more yellow, more toned down version. So if you're not a fan of bright speckles, which I totally understand, this might be more your style. But it does have these mellower brown and orange speckles here. And I also wanted to include the greenery as well. So there's some more speckles and green here. So that's Trusty Sock this time. I also wanted to show you like how things look on the organic wool linen base that I have, which is a really great warm weather base. I wear it a lot during the summer times here in Japan when it gets really hot and humid, and it works really well for if you do live in like a humid spot or if it gets hot where you are. Yeah, this is a really great option. And at first it kind of feels like, especially in skein form, it feels a bit tough. Like when I first got it, I was kind of worried about it. But once you knit it up and you wash it and you wear it and you sweat in it, honestly, it really comes into itself. It's very drapey, gets softer. There's a lot more movement to it. So it's a really interesting base. And I definitely recommend you to try it if you're not too itchy. I'd say it's a little bit more on the rougher side as well. So those of you who are more sensitive to certain bases, it might not be for you because it is organic wool. It's non-superwash. So it's not the softest thing in the world, but it really wears very well, especially in warmer weather. So that's what it looks like on the non-superwash. And then here is the suri. It's interesting because the suri picks up the green bits a lot more than I thought it would. Like compared to, I don't know if you could, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about this random neighbor dog. But anyways, you could kind of see that the green kind of stuck onto the suri a bit more. It's a little blowing out a little bit, but this is end of September. Yeah, next up. Next up is a fun colorway for pastel. Fans of pastel, this is something that you might like. This is Amusement Park by Artichoke. That's what it looks like. Let me show you the basis. So this is Trusty Sock. So it is this really fun, just happy pastel color with some darker speckles. But it's got blue, it's got green, it's got pink, it's got yellow. It's just a super fun colorway. I think this would make a really fun cotton candy kind of sweater. This is the Polworth DK base. And this is what it looks like on non-superwash. It's pretty similar to that of the superwash, I'd say. It doesn't make too much of a difference since it's so kind of, I place the colors so randomly. And the suri is really nice as well. Honestly, holding this superwash and a suri together to knit something like this is the clover sweater. And I knit this using a wisteria from my Sakura collection. But I feel like this colorway would work really well too to make something like this. So this is Amusement Park. Next up this is Lake Kagushi by Hasui Kawase. And I really love how this one turned out. Just put it out here. So it's half blue, half brown. Let me show you the Trusty Sock. So up top here we have blues and greens, and then it kind of gradates into yellows, and then this kind of rusty brown color. And then there are some speckles. Obviously, I have to speckle pretty much everything. So I don't know if you could see that. And you can really see that it kind of I don't know what you call it, like disperses, the color disperses throughout the skein a lot more on this non-superwash. This is again Polworth DK, and you could kind of see that the gradation is a bit more, I don't know, not subtle, but it has a, what am I trying to say? It has a bit more, the transition from blue to red is a bit more subtle than it is on the superwash skein. It's a bit more of a separation here. Like you could tell when it starts from green turning into the red or the brown, but it's a bit more subtle on the non-superwash skein. And here it is on the Surrey Silk Lace. Quite lovely. Again, I think this will probably also microstripe as well. So if you are, and I'll talk about this later, but if you are planning to make socks with it, there won't be any sock sets, but I'll talk about this again. There will be minis for the tono available to make your own sock sets. So this will be a really fun sock to knit, I think. This is Divine Light of Love Morning Evening by Ryushi Kawabata. I really like this one as well. This is my favorite, like green blue kind of colorway. It's got lots of speckles, and it's got this really lovely kind of blue that mixes in with this brown yellow. And again, you can see that blue that I'm talking about. And it also mixes in with this strong green to make just this really lovely kind of, it's not in your face blue and green, if you know what I mean. Like there's still some beigeness, some brownness in there that really kind of mellows down the colorway quite a lot. I really like this on the non-superwash particularly. This is again Polworth DK. It really fuzzes out the blobs of, not blobs, but you know what I mean, like the sections of greens and blues is so stark. Like you could really see, like this is where the blue starts and where's this is where the blue ends. Again, like here, like you could see this is the blue area. But when you make it into, when you dye it on non-superwash, it really kind of, the dye kind of just flows through the skein a lot better. So it's a bit more watercolory is really the only way to say it. The Surrey is also really nice as well. Like I would love, this would be a really nice clover sweater too. This would make a really nice clover sweater, like a blue-green version. So that is Divine Light of Love. Okay, next up is a fun one. This is called Season on Fresh Green by Kichiro Ota. And this is a very highly speckled one, which is really fun. So if you love speckles, there's multiple colorways with lots of speckling on it, but this is one of them. So you could see, very heavy-handed when it comes to speckling, which is super fun. Like, look at that. This would be really fun socks to knit as well. And here it is on the Polworth DK, and you can see the speckles have kind of diffused into the skein, and it just kind of makes this really lovely, like, deep color. Like deep as in it has a lot of depth to it, lots of different colors mixed in together to create such pretty pieces on the skein. And then here it is on a Surrey. I love how there's like warm tones mixed in with the green. That's my favorite part. But yeah, Season on Fresh Green. That's that. Next up is Road Cut Through a Hill. I love this one. This reminds me of chocolate in the best way possible. Road Cut Through a Hill by Ryusei Kishida. And let me show you it on Trusty Sock here. I love this brown so much. I love how, like, I was going to say how variegated it is, but I love how the there's different depths to the brown and to the blue in this colorway. And the parts that mix the blue and brown together are also really, really lovely. Again, this will also microstripe if you knit in a tube, like a small circumference tube, which again would be super fun to knit. And also might stripe if you played your cards right on the like a larger circumference, but I feel like it would pool more. So if you really like pooling, or if you like just larger sections of the browns and the blues, that would also be an option. So this is it on the Polworth DK as well. And then here it is on the Surrey. It just looks like a fuzzy piece of chocolate, which I love. Okay, so that is Road Cut Through a Hill. Next up is Cherry Blossoms by the Pond by Hiroshi Yoshida. I keep saying I love this one, but this is my favorite. I'd say this is my favorite purpley one, maybe. I just really like darker purples. So here it is on Trusty Sock. It's got some really lovely pink and purple speckles, and this like these sections of, I don't want to say they're gray, they're like very, very dark grayish purple, I'd say. There's also sections of like lighter greens and yellows, and I'm sorry if I'm talking funny. I am getting over a cold, by the way, so if you hear me sniffling and coughing, that's why. But yeah, so there's little speckles of green as well. I just really love this. I would love, again, I'll just show you the Surrey real quick, but the Surrey is so good. It'll just make like a darker version of this wisteria. Yeah, it'll be really pretty. And here it is on, this is actually the Superwash Tweed DK. Although this is superwash, it dyes a bit like non-superwash, which is why I'm showing it to you. And I also wanted to show you how things look in tweed as well. But for my shop, I like to use these neutral tweeds. The tweeds are usually black and cream, but I think it works really well with this colorway. I would love a sweater of this in tweed, particularly. But yeah, so this is Cherry Blossoms by the Pond. Very moody. The next one is Hand Mirror by Shinsui Ito. This is also a really lovely pink purple colorway. Let me show you the Trusty Sock. So it's got these sections of blues, pinks, purples. It's got these lovely speckles in it. There's also some sections of this lighter yellow and orange. It's just like a really, I'd say like warmer toned rainbow, like more pastel-y, but not, I don't want to say it's pastel-y. It's not that pastel-y, but also it's not that jewel toned either. It's just kind of like in a good middle spot. So that's the Trusty Sock. Here it is on non-superwash merino worsted. Again, the colors are like melding together really nicely in the non-superwash form. And then I love this on Surrey as well. Girl, see the oranges and the blues in this one. So this is Hand Mirror. And then the next one is Village with Apricot Blossoms. And it is by Hachiro Nakagawa. Let me show you the Trusty Sock. For those of you who are familiar with this wisteria colorway, I'd say this is like the lighter, slightly more variegated version of wisteria. It's got more prominent speckles, as you can see, right here and right here. There's also sections of yellow. But yeah, this is inspired by blooming apricot blossoms. This is it on the Polworth DK. I really like it on this one too. The purples flow so nicely on this base. There you go. So you can really see how the speckles kind of fuzzed out too, right over here. And then this is the Surrey Silk Lace. There you go. Got some hints of tones of green here. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, maybe over here. Some yellowish green here. So yeah, that one's really nice. Again, village with apricot blossoms. Next up is Chamelias and Kids as in the goat kind. This one's really lovely magenta purpley colorway. So this is the trusty sock. Let's see if I can. There we go. So you can really see the variegation in the superwash version. The color, like the colors are very like stark against each other. They don't meld as much as it does on the non-superwash, but even then it's like so pretty. I love that because you can really see the speckles and the color changes, and it's a lot more dynamic, I'd say, on the superwash version. Let me show you the non-superwash. This is again Polworth DK. See if it'll, there we go. So you could kind of see like what I mean. The color changes are a bit more subtle. It's still dynamic, but in a way where you could really kind of see all the colors mixing together really well. And then I love this on Surrey as well. Like, I keep holding it against my sweater because I feel like it would just make really good, not even Clover sweaters, but like any sweater that requires a Surrey held together with something else. This would be really pretty. So that's Chamelias and Kids. Next up is Pampa Grass. It's a very minimalist colorway, but like in the best way. So it's majority this lighter pinkish magenta color, and then it's got these bits or sections of this lighter green here, and then this bluish green here. It's got some light speckling in it, not too much, but it's mostly, I'm letting the colors do its job here. This is the baby merino alpaca DK, and it's 50% merino, 50% alpaca. It is so soft. So soft. And I love how it kind of blends the colors together. It's got this really fine, I don't know if you could kind of see it, but it's got a bit of a halo to it. So if you don't want to hold Surrey together with anything, this might be the base for you because it is DK. So you could still knit those DK weight sweaters kind of like this one and still get a bit of halo, but not fuzz, you know. So if you're not into the fuzz, this might be a good option. But if you are into the fuzz, here is the Surrey. Let me see if I can. There we go. So you can see the sections of blue and green are quite blended in this one. So this is Pampa Grass. And this is another fun one. This is Flowering Kale by Fujio Yoshida. And I don't know why it gives me like such kind of vintage vibes, but like the colorways feel so nostalgic to me. I don't know if it's like the purple and the green together or something. It's just this warm toned, variegated yarn. And I think this will make really subtle micro stripes. It won't be as prominent and it might not be as stripy, but it'll probably make micro stripes if you were to knit it in sock form. So that's the trusty. This is Polworth. Looks quite similar to the trusty sock. There is very, very minimal speckling, so for those of you who aren't into speckles, this might be an option for you. And here is the Surrey. Go. So, flowering kale. Next up is Nico Lilies Around Oze Marsh by Yasunobu Akagi. This is a really fun one as well. It's got blues, yellows, and it's got greens to kind of just meld them together. This will definitely create some fun micro stripes. And here it is on Polworth. Quite similar, I'd say. The only difference would probably be the speckling. It's got this, has some darker green speckles here. The non-superwash does not really take the speckles. It kind of just adds depth to whatever part you speckle. So here are the fuzzed out speckles on the non-superwash Polworth DK. And here it is on the Surrey Silk Lace. I feel like if you were to maybe get some kind of solid tonal from somewhere else, or if you have some in your stash and you combined it with this type of really variegated Surrey, it would make a really cool effect on a sweater. It'll tone down the Surrey will kind of just, well, I should say the Surrey's variegation will be toned down by whatever solid that you hold it together with, and I think that would make a really cool effect with some colorways like this. So that is Nico Lilies Around Oze Marsh. So this next one is also a fun one. It is inspired by a painting called Marine Products, which is a picture of fish, which we all love, don't we? So here it is, very minimalist in its style as well. It's kind of blowing out a little bit, but hopefully when I hold it against the camera, it'll do its job. So here it is. It's blowing a little bit out. Oh, but here it is. I think this is kind of a bit more what it would look like. It is majority orange variegation, and it's got these bits of blue speckles. A lot of it is concentrated down here on one side. There we go. And you can kind of see a bit more of the speckles on the non-superwash. This is Polworth DK. And again on Surrey, I think it'll be so much fun to get to these blue speckles. Majority of it is the orange. So there is that. Marine Products. This next one also has a bunch of speckling for those speckle lovers out there, fellow speckle lovers. This is Midday by Hiromitsu Nakazawa. Let me show you all the speckles. So this is it on Trusty Sock. You can see it there. Got all kinds of different colored speckles here. And it just makes this really lovely, warm, orangey brown colorway overall. Again, the speckles diffuse on non-superwash. This is the Polworth DK again. The speckles diffuse, but you could still kind of see where the speckles have been placed, which I think is really fun. So even if you do end up getting non-superwash, you'll still get kind of a very similar speckle effect. And here it is on Surrey. The speckles have fully diffused through the skein at this point, and it is more of a variegated colorway than a speckled colorway, but there are still some points in the skein where you could kind of see where the speckles have been placed. Let me see if I could find another bit. It's kind of hard. But like these bits of dark parts, that's where the speckles have been placed, and that's where the color has diffused out from, which I think is really interesting as well. So here it is, Midday. Next up is another darkish colorway, which I really love. This is called Destiny. It is inspired by painting by Shigeru Aoki, or Aoki. Let me show you the trusty sock. So the biggest part is like this big section of red that I really like. When you knit this up, it would be so much fun to see the red pop up, because it won't be like a full circumference stripe. It'll probably just stripe every now and then, depending on what you knit, obviously. And if you do knit it in like a larger circumference, you might find some pooling, but with alternating skeins, I think you could get a really cool effect with that. So it's majority of it is like this brownish grungy green color, and it's got this really lovely like vermilion red here and some lovely speckling throughout. You can kind of see more speckling here. It's got some bits of blue, some yellow, so it's this really cool colorway, and I really like it on non-superwash as well. Again, this is the Polworth. It really mellows down the red. Like you could really see how the red is so prominent in the superwash skein, but it really diffuses in the non-superwash version, although it's still quite prominent here. And in the Surrey version, the red is even more diffused, and it's this really just grungy, almost like autumnal color. I want to say like autumn winter color. It's almost Christmassy in a way, but anyways, it would be really nice kind of toned down, darker version of like this kind of DK weight sweater, I'd say, if you knit this Surrey up. But yeah, really lovely. For those of who like a bit of grunge to their knitting, I'd say this is it for you. I really like this colorway. Next, we're almost there. There's 5 more colorways. Okay, so this is Artichoke by Takeji Fujishima. Artichoke. This is so autumnal. I love this. So here it is on Trusty Sock. Very autumnal reds, yellows, browns, some brassy greens, lots of speckles, lots of fun. Here's some more speckles here. Again, this might microstripe as well with the reds, yellows, and greens. Here it is on the Polworth DK. You could see the purple being a bit more prominent in here. You don't see as much of it, just because I feel like the red, the green, and the yellow just kind of blast themselves throughout the superwash version. But you could kind of really see how the purple plays a part in this colorway on the non-superwash. And then here is the Surrey. All the colors meld together and really tones down the brightness of the dye. So it is a bit more like darker and more demure than the Trusty Sock version. You can really see the colors kind of have toned themselves down. Since red and green are opposites on the color wheel, it really just kind of tones down everything when they're all mixed together, which is kind of lovely. So this is Artichoke. Next up is Water Pool Between Rocks. And let me show you the Trusty Sock version. This is a really interesting colorway because it'll probably have micro striping, but also at the same time, depending on how you knit it, it could just be random. Like, it's hard to tell. This one's a funky one, but it's got these really fun. It looks quite bright, but I'd say it's more of a jewel tone situation rather than a bright situation, if you know what I mean. Like, it's more deeper than it is brighter. So it's got these lovely reds and blues. And it's got hints of these yellows. And it's also got this really lovely light grayish lavender up on top. And there's some more yellow here. And again, all the colors meld together on the non-superwash. This is non-superwash Polworth DK. You could see all the colors mixing together, doing their thing. So it is a bit more, I don't want to say dull because that sounds like a bad thing, but it is more toned down than the superwash version. You can really see that everything just kind of blends together, but in like a nice way. I don't think it's a bad thing. And here it is even more so on the Surrey silk lace. The blues and the reds have blended. It's created these lovely purplish parts. And again, there's the top bit of lavender, but it's not as pale as it is on the superwash because all of the colors have kind of taken over that whitish spot that would have been there, and have kind of created its own purple. So it's really, this colorway really changes depending on what base you choose it on. So choose wisely, but also have fun with it. So this is Water Pool Between Rocks. So we're coming up to the last two variegated colorways. This one is probably my favorite. I'd say this is the color I usually dye myself a sweaters quantity as a present to myself out of the collection that I've created. So this is probably the colorway I'm going to choose for myself. This is called Notes of a Pessimist D by Tai Kambara. And it looks like this. And this is a really fun colorway to dye because it is an abstract painting. So I decided to kind of treat the colorway abstractly and kind of make it a bit more random. So this is the most random of the colorways. If you're looking for something that will have minimal pooling, minimal striping, I'd say this is probably it. And it's also very grungy, very dark, very jewel toned. Let me see if it'll, there we go. So there's got these lovely dark purples, rusts, it's goldish yellow. It's got some gunmetal blues in there, some almost blackish grays. It's very nuanced. Lots of different colors in this. Again, the non-superwash version has blended everything out. You could really see that the variegation is very much more muddled, but also at the same time you could still see, like, there's a section of purple and a section of orange and a section of yellow. Like, you could still see the variegation. It's just a lot more subtle because it is non-superwash. And the Surrey also as well, it's almost like a tonal, but it's still variegated, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this is quite lovely. I think this is like, I really want to like hold the Surrey together with like maybe like a superwash merino fingering, to make another fuzzy DK weight sweater. So this is Notes of a Pessimist D. So this is the very last colorway, the last variegated colorway is Mount Sakurajima by Ryuzaburo Umehara. And this was the original full skein that was in my yarn calendar. So let me show you. And it's inspired by a sunset because the painting is a sunset. So it is majority green and blue, but there are hints of red throughout. You can kind of see there. and then it kind of culminates in like a red yellow at the end here. You can actually kind of see a bit more of the variegation. The dye again has kind of worked its way through the skein, diffused a bit more, and so you can really see the red parts versus the blue parts. And then the Surrey silk lace is really nice because it's majority blue, but there are bits of the green, the yellow, and the red. So yeah, this is Mount Sakurajima, the very last variegated skein. So yeah, so this next one is my only tonal that I will have in the shop. Let me grab it. So here's the only tonal that I will have available for pre-order. And the thing about this tonal is that it is so nuanced. It shows up very differently between the various bases, but they all look quite lovely. So this is Washi. And it is this light beigey gray. And depending on what base you use, it's cool. It's like cool tone, warm tone. It's very, again, like nuanced. Like it's hard to tell. So here it is on Trusty Sock. So you could see it's kind of warm tone, but there is like hints of green in there. And it's almost a gray, but it's not. I really wanted to create a tonal that could match anything in the collection because I will only have one tonal and 25 variegated. So I really wanted something that everybody could just grab and go. So I will have mini skein versions of the tonal so you can make your own sock set. So in the tonal listing, there will be, drop down menu of all the bases plus mini skein versions of a few of the bases. So Trusty Sock, Superwash Cashmere, non-Superwash BFL, and I believe Superwash Merino Fingering. Those are the 4 minis that you are able to get, and you could add that onto your cart as needed. There's a truck out there now. So I will wait for it to leave. Okay, truck has left, so let me continue. So yeah, this is the Trusty Sock, but look at this. This is the non-Superwash Merino worsted, and you could kind of see that it looks a bit more beigey on this one than it does on the Trusty, and it's just like, it was like this for all the bases. It looks different on each of the bases. So, Trusty Sock, non-Superwash Merino worsted, and this is the Surrey. So the Surrey looks more gray. So I feel like majority you should just think more in terms of these colors, like beigey gray. And I did pull up, I do have a gray color called Tsuki, so some of you may be familiar with the colorway Tsuki, which is I've had available for quite some time now. This is Tsuki in Polworth. And so you could, it's so hard to tell, but looking at it, it's hard to tell. I thought maybe you'd be able to see it, but in person, it's more beige than Tsuki. And now you could just kind of have to believe me on it, but maybe you could kind of see it a bit more if I hold it with, like this is gray, this is not gray. I hope you could see the difference, but I'll also put up a little base picture here while I talk about it. But yeah, washi is Japanese paper, and I wanted to create something that had the undertones of paper to it because obviously all of these are all paintings or prints, and so I thought that would be really nice. But yeah, Tsuki is more gray, washi is a bit more beige. I hope you get that, but we'll see. Again, yeah, I'll have the base pictures up on the site on the day of pre-order, so if you're kind of wondering what you should do, you could take a look at that on the day of. But yeah, that's all for the colorways. Now I want to talk about color combos because that that is the toughest part out of all of this. And right now I have so much yarn on the floor. So let's figure this out together. I'll put up a few ideas that I had in mind, or that I'm just gonna pull up right now, and hopefully it resonates with you or it's fun for you to watch. Something that I've been thinking about, hear me out, colorwork sweater with this one. This is Destiny, and then this washi as a CC. This is what I mean by making something that matches with everything, because this can go with anything. I was thinking about a colorwork sweater with this, or even a colorwork sweater with, this is the Notes of a Pessimist Tea on non-superwash, plus this. That could totally work as well. But yeah, you could kind of see how this is Paron Pomegranate, but you could see how this kind of works with anything. You could pull anything up and it'll make a fun, like this would be a fun sock set, like if you got a mini skein version of this. This would be a fun sock set. One fade that I was thinking about that I've actually have been thinking about for quite a while is, let me pull it up, these four together. So from my left, it is Paron on a Pomegranate, Night Music on a Floating Pavilion, Pumpkin Patch, and Greendale. This would be a really lovely fade for those of you who love fades as much as I do. Another combo that I really love is Hand Mirror with Village with Apricot Blossoms. I think these two together would work really well to make a sweater, because, okay, hear me out. When you knit this main skein up, the blue, purples, and reds are gonna be very prominent in whatever you knit. But if you hold something like Village with Apricot Blossoms, it's a very subtle variation. So this purple will travel throughout all of these colors and kind of tie them in together to make a more mellowed down purpley sweater with hints of the pink and the blues. Like you could still see those stronger colors, but like in a more mellowed out way. And I think that would be really nice as a sweater. And it's kind of blowing out right now, but trust me on this. Here's another fun fade for you. And the reason why I like to show fades is because you can really see like very adjacent colorways, if you know what I mean. Like just because it's a fade doesn't mean that you have to use all four skeins. You could use 2 of the 4 skeins to, hold together to knit up a DK weight. You can hold 3 of them together to knit up like a doppio type of sweater. So just because I have 4 skeins here doesn't mean you have to use all 4. You could totally just choose 2 of the 4 because they're very, I don't know, adjacent to each other. Like they're in the same little family. So the colors would work quite well together. So here's another idea of a fade. Or again, you could hold 2 or 3 of the colorways together. So from my left, it's Notes of a Pessimist Tea, Destiny, Artichoke, and what was it? Lingering Snow. So these would work quite well together. Even holding Destiny and Artichoke together, the reds would work super well. Or do Artichoke and Lingering Snow and have a fun marl situation going on. So many options, so many colorways. And I do want to make note that I will have a few kind of sets or like colorway sets for you to purchase for those of you who are kind of unsure about color combos and things like that. I totally get it. It's tough, and it's tough with 25 colors. So I will have a few ready-made colorway sets that you'll be able to purchase just all in one, all one base, one of each colorway type of thing. I think I haven't created them yet, which is why I can't really show them to you, but I'll put pictures up on here if I am able. And I think all of them have 3 or 4 different colorways per set. So if you want to make a shawl, or if you want to just have like 4 fun socks or something like that, you'll be able to grab that, or you could grab multiple packs, however many you need for your project. But yeah, that's it, I think. So again, Day at the Museum update, November 3rd, Japan Standard Time. It'll be open for 48 hours, and it'll be unlimited for 48 hours, so you could shop all you want for 48 hours, and then I'm going to close it and then announce the turnaround time once the pre-order has closed. But yeah, thank you so much for all your support over on Instagram, where I've been doing the reveals. If you haven't followed me on there, I recommend it because that's where I usually post. But I'm glad I was able to sit down with you and to talk about all of these colorways, because it's a lot of colorways and it was a lot of work putting all the samples together, honestly. I haven't done a huge pre-order like this since 2022, so it's been 2 years since this huge of a colorway, huge of a pre-order. So thank you so much for all your support. And you don't have to buy anything. Like, this isn't like a plead or anything. Like, this is just me doing what I love and showing you. And if you're here just to watch, that's totally fine with me. Like, thank you so much for watching. But I hope you also enjoyed watching my stuff as well, and I hope, even whether or not you purchased from this pre-order, I hope you had a fun time watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.